Welcome back, Summoners, and we are joined here by Enrated of SK Gaming after that victory versus Alliance. You threw out a couple of curveballs. I'm not going to spoil too much. You can talk about your pick and ban plan.
Well, our pick and ban plan was settled, but it was not really set in stone because we had to kind of react to what they are going to do. So we just reacted to each pick and decided which pick could fit us the most in the composition. And the Orianna pick actually kind of threw us off. Our initial plan was rather going for Orianna than Nidalee in this case, but I think overall it worked out pretty well for us, and we just played our composition the way we are supposed to play it.
And you're the first player I've ever seen play Kayle support, at least with how it's been here in Season 4. Can you maybe tell me why is it good? What do you think about it?
Well, right now in 4.2 at least, the heal scales with AP in a better way, plus that the movement speed scales with AP. So that made it a bit more viable on support, but before it was also pretty good. And I think just he offers so much utility. He has armor and MR shred, and the heal output he has is insane. And you just don't get punished for going Mikhails in case you actually profit from it.
And in general, we've actually seen you play quite a lot of different supports. We had Galio support, we've seen a lot of kind of different styles out of you. Is it because you want to surprise the enemy? Is it just because you love all these different kind of champions?
I just see there's so many heroes viable right now, and depending on the situation, the changes and the meta, there are the top tier supports, but once they are not the best pick in the situation, you might actually go for another pick. And I've trained Kayle over the course of weeks just because I saw how viable it actually is. And I think it has a great potential in some team comps.
Yeah, you were talking about how good it is that you can buy Mikhails. That is, of course, a little bit later in the game. What about the lane matchup specifically versus a Sivir and a Lulu?
Well, it's quite poke heavy, and that's in the favor of Kayle as well. They're not have essentially the best all-in, so you don't get bursted, and Kayle has a heal, and I just maxed the heal early on, and maxed my E as well, so my trading was good, and my heal was good. So overall, we just outscaled them and just waited and kept pushing them, and there was not much they can do once we hit a certain level because the heal output was so insane.
And I would actually like to know from you, because you're playing with Candy Panda. He's one of the most, what can you say, impressive AD carries here in Europe at the moment. Who do you actually think is the best AD carry if you have one guy who stands out from the rest?
Well, I guess the skill cap in Europe is very close on ADs, but I think right now for me, Candy Panda is the best AD in Europe.
Wow, nice. Well, let's talk about him a little more then. He mentioned last week, I believe it was, I like to pick the champion that I can carry on the most, and that is, for me, Vayne. How does Lucian scale if we judge champions by that?
Well, Vayne is out of the chart. I mean, her scaling into late is insane. She has just this carry potential because so much reactional play with Tumble, where you can just dodge skill shots, etc. You have a stealth inbound, you have a knockback to get rid of someone coming at you, and the percentage health true damage is just, it's shredding through tanks, and that's all you need as a hyper carry. And if you offer enough protection for Vayne, that's the carry to go for. And I think Lucian is rather a safe pick with lots of, let's say, poke or wave clear, but it's just not the same playstyle. I think carry playstyle is more like Vayne playstyle.
Okay, so you mentioned that you had to kill the Nidalee, a lot of heals going in there, which made the fights a lot of time incredibly close. And we actually got a good example of one of those.
Yeah, if we bring up the replay, we are at the situation we're 32 minutes in. It's at around your red buff. We actually talked in the game with the casters here. They said how the combo from Alliance, you don't want to fight in the jungle. There's the Orianna ultimate, the Wukong ultimate, but yet you guys actually start the fight. So if we roll the clip, talk us through everything that's going on.
So first of all, Candy used the ultimate before to poke, so they were already low. Then we baited him into clutch position where Sven hit ultimate on 5 people. Candy dodged the Ori ult, which basically hit no one. And at that point, just the heal set in, and we just dragged the fight out because we have so much sustain more than they do. And Franny was able to flank from beside, which caught them off guard. And on top of that, when you see now, we chased them way further into the jungle than we actually wanted to, but we were able to sustain because of the heals that were keep coming in. And Freddy now jumped into the fight, and well, he just revived, and that's all we had to do.
And that's the beauty of Aatrox. And who's actually making calls like this? Who said, let's go in here? Is it Sven making it with the Evelyn because you can hit the ultimate, or is it someone else?
Well, in this case, it was Candy because he started poking and he wanted to go in. Overall, everyone has to talk, but in some cases, I have the last word in deciding whether we go in or out. But I think it has to be an equal thing in the team, and everyone has to be able to communicate, especially the ones that are initiating.
And when it comes to picks, like picks and ban phase, you used to work as an analyst for EG last season, also for Lemon Dogs at Worlds. How much of an input do you actually have in this, or is it the whole team who picks the champions, or is it mainly someone like you?
Well, in the end, everyone has to call his champion. The only thing we can do is figure out in scrims certain team comps and decide whether it's viable or not to play that. And I think it's overall a team decision. Everyone gives his input, I give my input.
And things are going very well indeed. And I'm going to ask for your input on the next game that's coming up already. Super Hot Crew versus ROCCAT. ROCCAT in a little bit of a slump, can we say that? How do you think it's going to go?
Well, ROCCAT, they have to win. They need to win to keep this first place. So I think they'll be very motivated. And Veggie talked yesterday about how they have to start winning the early game. If ROCCAT wins the early game, I see them take the game. Otherwise, Super Hot Crew will run with it.
What are you thinking, Rated?
Well, ROCCAT is maybe not looking the strongest right now, but never underestimate them. I think they're a hell of a team, and there's no one that is able to compete with them on a high level. If they play their A game, they will definitely win, and otherwise we will see an interesting game.
All right, well, thank you very much, and congratulations once again. And now we're going to head back over to D-Man and Quickshot to get our next game rolling.
Thank you very much, Shox and Officio. So, coming up, as you just heard, it is the Super Hot Crew facing off against ROCCAT. And the Super Hot Crew, well, they've been playing great over the last few weeks, picking up some important wins. However, they are 0-2 against ROCCAT. And these losses, well, they did come in the opening 2 weeks.
Yeah, between then and now, the Super Hot Crew have improved immensely. And the troubling pick and ban phase for the team has been eroded. We are consistently seeing strong teams put together by Super Hot Crew. And more importantly, they are executing them effectively. I want to highlight the supports for a moment. If you compare Mixer and Vanda, you'll see that they have the same kills. They have incredibly similar assists, but Mixer's got a massive amount of deaths more. 60 in comparison to the 23 of Vanda. So Mixer really needs to work on how often he dies and how many kills he gives up in game.
And of course, yesterday the Super Hot Crew lost their game to SK Gaming, who we just saw dominating Alliance. And that bottom aggression really worked out. You talked about how they gave up first blood to Candy Panda, who we just heard N-Rated say he believes is now the best AD carry in Europe, after they didn't sync up during the fights.
Yeah, the flashes didn't work out, and unfortunately for the Super Hot Crew, the problems continued from their bad laning phase. They fell behind the SK composition, and they simply did not have any sort of impact. They ran Nocturne and Zac as their engage combination, and it didn't work out. I would expect to see stronger lane picks for Super Hot Crew against Gambit right now.
And of course, ROCCAT themselves, well, they took their foot off the gas, and they did have a little break last week, and they chose to take their rest, return to their hometowns, which is all fair enough, you know, it's what can we do every week. This, of course, did reflect in their results, though. They went 1-1, and that was losing out an important game to SK Gaming. 2-0 now to SK Gaming, unfortunately. And after yesterday's slow start against the Wolves, ROCCAT are struggling to remain in the dominant position where we have seen them in Lily Weeks.
Yeah, remember Veggie was also talking out about their performance and saying they're not up to scratch. And, you know, the Wolves yesterday, they put together a composition with Lulu, they took Trundle away, and they added Nocturne into the mix against Pantheon, and that was very important. It's the second time we've seen Nocturne, and it was a fantastic counter to the strength of those Pantheon engages that we've seen Jankos destroying people on. We've actually got a great clip of that I'd like to pull up onto your screen right now. This was the first time that we've seen Paranoia used to counter the man drop from Jankos. Let's start the replay and notice the positioning on the minimap. Jankos is going to start channeling his Grand Skyfall, and you'll see that Amazing was actually recalling. The second they call, hey, he's on his way, deny the vision from ROCCAT, Copenhagen Wolves dive into the fight. We even get the Ziggs bomb from Overpower not really offering a whole lot. And at the end of the day, thanks to the red buff, Amazing ends up grabbing himself a second kill, running them down. And this happened over and over and over throughout the game. It was an amazing counter gank. It was perfect Paranoia, and he did it multiple times.
Yeah, fantastic stuff, and it really did work out well. ROCCAT have now lost back-to-back games to SK Gaming, in which they surrendered in 24 minutes. And then, of course, yesterday, the Copenhagen Wolves. Should their fans be worried?
So I don't think the fans should definitely not be worried. When every team can beat every other team, it does mean we get more exciting games, because you never really know who's going to win. But for ROCCAT, it's figuring out their picks and bans and if double AP is really what they want to play. It is 4.2. It's a new patch. They ran LeBlanc top yesterday into Trundle. I want to see what they're going to do right now.
Well, the members of ROCCAT are coming into this match with a lot of confidence, but they're facing a more experienced Super Hot Crew this time around, who will not be getting fooled again by surprise champion picks.
We played Rocket only the first 2 weeks and we were pretty weak at this point.
We're not scared of Super Hot Crew because we won with them 2 times already and it wasn't that hard.
We got to play against kind of weird picks, Mordekaiser and Pantheon. So both our games against them we got kind of surprised.
Yeah, we were pretty bad the first 2 weeks, but now we got a chance against them.
Super Hot Crew is on the streak right now because of the AD carry Mr. Rales. He's doing pretty good. He's top AD carry in Europe. But I think Celaver is not scared of him and we're just going to win every line.
Czujemy się naprawdę pewnie na Super Hot Crew i myślę, że nie będzie żadnego problemu, żeby z nimi wygrać.
I think we have stronger laners and our shot calling I think is probably one of the best in LCS now.
Every time after we play we sit down in the living room, all of us on our chairs, eating peanuts, and then we just talk about what we're going to play on the next day. So when it comes we'll be there with our peanuts and we'll get ready to play against Rocket.
So Impaler saying the Super Hot Crew this time are ready. They're not expecting any of those wacky picks. The Pantheon, which has actually ironically become Impaler's main champion.
It has.
And of course the Mordekaiser.
And I actually think that Super Hot Crew need to play a lot better than they did yesterday.
Yes.
They looked lost. They had a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes. Mr. Rales and Mixer weren't on the same page. They really need to get in the zone for this game.
For me, both these teams, especially the Super Hot Crew, if they fall behind, they never get back in it. Rocket maybe got a chance. Let's check out those starting lineups, though. On the blue side, it will be Super Hot Crew. That means Mima's going to be in the top lane. Impaler is the jungler. Moops the mid lane. Mr. Rales the AD carry. And Mixer alongside him as support.
And of course, on the red side, it will be Rocket. Zazus up top. Jankos in the jungle. Overpower mid. AD carry Celaver and the support of Vanda.
So, picks and ban phase. We always talk about these things. What do we expect to see in this game?
So we've seen a couple of things happening against Rocket in recent weeks. Celaver's being targeted, so to speak, banning out the likes of Caitlyn, picking away Lucian. We've also seen Vanda being put on a little bit of pressure, stealing away his Thresh or banning it, forcing him onto a Morgana. They're fairly predictable in that dual lane. It is something to consider. You also have to remember the likes of Evelynn, the likes of Pantheon, and the likes of Kassadin.
So picks and bans getting underway. Kassadin banned straight out by the blue team this time around, by the way. And that was Moops. And this is an important thing.
So Super Hot Crew banned Kassadin in a lot of their games because Moops really doesn't play it. It's something that we've heard many people saying. Millennium banned Kassadin in a lot of the games because Kerp doesn't play it. And what it means is that's traditionally a red side ban. It's going to allow Rocket a little bit more freedom to get rid of more OPs or get rid of something that they're uncomfortable playing against.
Draven being banned out against Mr. Rales. It has been one of those fallback champions, and with that new passive, it seemed to work very well for him last week.
Yeah, it worked in his favor against Fnatic. He went unkilled. If memory serves, he went 5-0-7. And Mr. Rales is probably the most aggressive AD carry, I think, in the league right now. He really likes to get in your face. Him and Mixer also get in the faces of their opponents at level 1 and level 2 in every single game. It doesn't matter what they're running, it doesn't matter what they're against. They just want to fight, 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 and they do it all the time.
Interesting to see that at least banned out this time around. Also, the Lulu being taken away. This does mean that the likes of Pantheon are still out there, as well as the Vi, the Wukong, or the Nocturne.
Trundle is still available as well. Ziggs is still up there.
Lots of champions
Both
right
of these teams have run Kayle previously. We've seen Kayle twice today, seen it in the mid lane, and we've seen it in support. With the Caitlyn being banned out, it's a strategy we talked about where teams tend to target Celaver, or have been doing in the last couple of days. And because Mr. Rales has played numerous other carries, including Jinx, for example, it is something that we need to remember. Mr. Rales can play other carries at a very high level.
We'll see whether they first pick that Lucian. That's what we may well see come out from Super Hot Crew here. And that's actually gave Rocket pause for thought here. They clearly want to ban away. They've gone for Orianna. That tells me they know something that Moops has been doing in scrims.
Now I'm double checking my notes and I'm pretty confident Orianna was banned yesterday if memory serves as well. No, it's not. It was our theoretical picks for them. I'm taken away. So with the Orianna out of and not available, we still got your traditional mid laners. You've still got the likes of Gragas, you've still got Ziggs in there, you still have Kayle, for example. You also have Assassins available, something that Overpower's played. He's run Kha'Zix before, but the entire field is open. So the question is now, do you want to take Thresh away from Vanda, or do you want to take Lucian away from Celaver? Or in this case, it's going to be Gragas from Overpower.
Or just leave Thresh and Lucian both open for
There
Rocket.
are so many high priority picks, because if that dual lane gets locked in, it then means Super Hot Crew could grab the Trundle, for example. So this is a very interesting pick ban phase.
So Gragas first pick for Moops. It is a champion that he's very comfortable on. And Rocket clearly discussing what two big champions do they take away from Super Hot Crew. I feel they're going to go for that support AD carry. Although, you know what? I don't think... I mean, he's got a lot of strong supports available. I was going to say, Annie is on the cards. Thresh is in there. Of course, he also goes for the Morgana, which he's been playing a number of times, but it clearly seems that it is that duo lane they want to lock in.
So for the record, if this Annie is locked in, it'll be the first time Vander's played this support. It'll be the 4th support that he's played. He's played Thresh, Morgana, then Lulu, and this has been locked in. So this is the first time we're going to see him on a new pick. I actually highlighted Vander as my player to watch yesterday for this exact reason. Vander has not played a multitude of champions, and he's finally expanding his pool.
Insta-locks for Super Hot Crew. They knew exactly what they wanted. Straight for the Pantheon, straight for that Renekton.
What this also means, with a Pantheon and Renekton combination, if Roccat do decide to lock in the Trundle, which is something that Zazz has played multiple times, Renekton beats Trundle early, Pantheon ganks plus Renekton equals dead Troll, equals top lane victory in the first 10 to 15 minutes. But it does mean Impaler will be spending his time ganking top, if that happens that way.
Wukong's a potential pickup for Young Garcia. It's a champion that's definitely come to light over the last 3 weeks in the European season. At the moment, they're waiting to see what they go with. Of course, mid lane is also a possibility. You see Overpower on your screen there. Considerations, but it is going to be the Troll in that top lane, and we'll see how it goes up against that Renekton and Pantheon combo.
So this is somewhat predictable. I really feel like Super Hot Crew are going to invest some time into trying to punish Xaxus and trying to get Mimer ahead. We have also seen how powerful Mimer can be on a Renekton. It was the champion he was running when they defeated Gambit all those weeks back, 3 weeks ago. The one thing that Rocket do still have available to them is a mid lane pick that could either be an assassin that can get resets, they've got pretty good damage, or they could even go for the Ziggs, which is something Overpower's played, which would also give them some disengage against Super Hot Crew.
Well, this could be a strong duo lane combo for the Super Hot Crew. Jinx and Thresh added together. We saw Mixer, how well he did on Thresh, of course, the same as Vander has done. So Mixer picking a champion he is very strong on. Mr. Rala still deciding on this one. Jinx seems to be the AD carry he favors.
Now, this is quite a fairly smart pick. Once Mr. Rolls gets items, he's going to be able to actually destroy a Trundle or a Wukong once he gets those core damage items built up. The thing that he has to be very careful with is not having Trundle and Wukong on him at the same time. Super Hot Crew have got a very good combination at multiple things. They've got Gragas for engage, they've got Thresh for engage, they can run in, they can run out, they can disengage with that Gragas ultimate. Rocket are a little bit more linear. Trundle and Wukong are going to run at you, hopefully after being stunned by Tibbers. I want to see where their mid lane pick goes right now.
Well, Lulu was banned out. So what way will Overpower go? Could this be a Vlad in the mid lane? It's a champion we've seen played in, I think North America have ran this in the mid lane before, if memory serves.
Voyboy has played it. We have also seen it top lane earlier today from Youngbuck into Trundle. Yep. It can be a smart pick because you can avoid a lot of the damage that Super Hot Crew are putting down. It has been locked in. So you're going to be hoping for this sort of very strong combination of Tibbers plus Cyclone, and then allowing Trundle and Vlad to finish people off or stragglers that get pushed very low. I think Rockat's composition can also do well in skirmishing, but they've got to be a little bit careful because they are quite reliant on hitting multiple abilities together to win team fights.
Well, the Super Hot Crew are going to be chasing a victory here. Have they picked themselves a comp that could win?
Super Hot Crew have got, in my opinion, a lot more strength early. I think Gragas is going to hit a power spike much sooner than Vladimir. Renekton's going to hit a power spike much sooner than Trundle, and the impact that Impaler can have on lanes, thanks to his ultimate, the Grand Skyfall, is also going to be higher than Wukong. So, much like many of Super Hot Crew's comps, strong lanes, they need to get ahead early, and if they don't win a game by 30-35 minutes, Trundle plus Vlad scaling is going to be terrifying, and I'm very scared of how they're going to deal with those very strong uber late game champions.
Well, they have been able to close games out fast before. Remember the Gambit game, 13-1. So you guys at home, you have voted for the first place team here. Are you rooting for the underdog? Let's look at lollysports.com. According to you guys, 80% is the vote for Roccat. No surprises.
That is a very, very big vote. I wonder if the picks and bans would have affected anything. I wonder if seeing these champions, Gragas being played by Moops, this is the 9th time he's played it. Out of 16 games, Moops has now played Gragas 9 times, and he's got 5 wins on it. It's a positive win ratio. I also think that Gragas is a great pick. It can split up Vlad, it can split up Trundle, it can split up Wukong. Everybody that jumps in at you, just disperse them with that cask and try to control the team fight from there.
So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The game is loaded and we are going in. Final game of week 7. Who will it be? Super Hot Crew starting out as the blue side, playing from bottom to top, up against ROC from top to bottom as the red team.
Now I want to see how these lanes play out for Super Hot Crew and ROC. One of the things that we've heard from many of the pros who run Jinx and who no longer like to run Jinx is they say they don't like to run Jinx into Annie. Because Jinx is very squishy and has no innate escapes, if Annie gets on you in conjunction with some damage from Salavar's Lucian, it could be early kill potential.
Look at the starting items. Boots, first item for Overpower.
And that's purely because he's against a Gragas. You know, because Vladimir's like so weak early on, there's that age-old myth that he hits his power spike at level 9 when your transfusion is now maxed down and all of a sudden your cooldown's low enough to sustain and do poke. It is the truth because it takes you multiple levels to scale up, and that boots are just going to allow him to mitigate some of the early barrel rolls that'll be coming up from Moops.
In fairness, before the item nerfs of the Will of the Ancients, he was pretty horrifying of the level 9.
It's very interesting to see that we're now seeing more Vlad play considering
there's been no changes since then.
Exactly. The champion itself has been unchanged, but his core items have actually been made less effective on him. You know, they've been targeted towards different areas of the game, and we still see that Hextech Revolver being picked up. It didn't get upgraded to...
We don't see 3 of them anymore, though, thank God.
Exactly. Thank goodness for that. The one thing I want to go back to these draw lanes is seeing how Mr. Rolls plays with Mixer. Generally, Mr. Rolls and Mixer are super aggressive. It could come back to bite them. It happened yesterday. They went aggressive on Vayne Annie, got stunned up, and Candy Panda got first blood. So they cannot make the same mistake they did yesterday and give up an early first blood.
It's a blue buff start out for Impaler on Pantheon. Will be helped out with Mima there. Meanwhile, of course, we see Yankos over on the red side, also helped out by Zaz. So both top laners now heading towards that lane. No changes to any of the lanes. We'll see how this one works out between Overpower and Loops in this mid lane. Overpower already trying to get some of that poke on towards him.
Yeah, and I think Overpower needs to try to use those transfusions on Gragas as much as possible. But at this level, the sustain from Gragas' passive, gaining some HP back whenever he casts a spell, will actually outscale that of Vladimir. Vladimir's transfusion, yeah, it gives him a nice, you know, spike of HP, but the cooldowns are still fairly high, sitting around about 8 or 9 seconds.
This 2CS though as well, wouldn't be happy with themselves, maybe ticking himself off already. This bottom lane, interesting pair in between them. Vander and Salavar very aggressive, along with Mixer and Mr. Rales also aggressive. Level 2 hit first. You can see the choppers, they do go down. Salavar, it did proc on towards him and that cut the stun. Great transition there, great play from Super Hot Crew.
They lost no HP. That was one auto attack from Vander. Vander did not manage to stun anybody up, and thanks to those chompers actually catching Salavar, he's now been put on the back foot. He's used his potion. He does have barriers still available, but he can't afford to get caught again.
Vander with that stun ready and waiting to go. Trying desperately, look at this top lane, Mima bullying it out as we expect with that Renekton, shoving him onto the tower. Zazas is going to have to really play his heart out here to try and make sure he gets those last hits, having to use that bite.
So there's 2 options here for Impaler. Because Renekton beats Trundle early, I had actually anticipated the first ganks from Impaler to be against Trundle. Give Mima a leg up in the lane and encourage him to start invading, especially considering the weakness of Vlad. Impaler, on the other hand, has now decided to gank this bottom lane. He does have flash, he does have red buff, so if they chain the stun into a death sentence, that could sentence a member of ROC to death, but they decide against it.
Yeah, they backed away, thought about it, had that flash available, could have gone in there, but Mixer was trying his best to play as passive as possible to see if they could try and bait them forward, but they were playing very cautious. They knew they had no ward in that bush, and they know that Mr. Rales and Mixer almost certainly always want to get focused. Instead, it's Overpower in the mid lane. He's going down. Will there be an assist from Impaler? No. Mixer Moops does it all himself.
Didn't even need him. Overpower was way too overextended there. He ate the full damage from the barrel and the body slam. We've seen the Ignite ticking through, and I just think Overpower maybe overestimating his ability to escape. That was a great hook.
The hook, the chompers, Salavar so low, has to flash away. Mixer flashes away as well. Vander's now getting a beating in his backside, and he's going to get forced back. Look at Salavar. Had to use that barrier, and he's got no health left.
Mixer was threading the needle there between the minion wave, lands it onto Salavar and pulls him backwards. So now Mixer and Mr. Rals have been, they've controlled that Annie. They're not afraid of her early lane presence thanks to the stun, and because of the lead they've built up, they've got Vander now.
Vander this time around, the Rockets come back through once again. The chompers did not go down this time though. Mr. Rales won't follow it through, tries to land that Zap and Sullivan. Look at this, jungler coming in. Jankos has to be there to help them out. No jump, of course, available from Pele yet. Still only level 4.
Now, I'm so happy that we see the aggressive lane from Mixer and Mr. Rales working out. Because they like to get in the face, they like to control the tempo of that lane. As long as Mixer continues to land those great hooks, they're going to be able to continue doing this one. Mr. Rales got nearly double the CS of Salivar. We see the strength of Mima. He's already farming between lanes because he's not afraid of Vladimir Roan at this level. He knows that Wukong was bottom, he's seen him in lane, and Mima just uses all of that information, goes for a quick wave, and makes Xaxus a little more uncomfortable.
Teleporting just out of vision as well, so he's backing off. Xaxus not really too sure where he is. Vampire Acceptor was picked up by Sullivan in that bottom lane, but as you mentioned, double the CS for Mr. Rales there. They have just shoved that wave and backed off this time around, so Sullivan will try and get some of that farm back. But big differences. Mr. Rales going to go back to see what he goes with. It's going to be a double Doran's Blade, which obviously had one already, and the Vampire Acceptor as well as a ward.
So we're going to get some more of that sustain in the lane and really just already have an additional Doran's over Saliva. I think the story of that lane has all been about Mixer. He's landed multiple hooks onto Saliva. Saliva not necessarily using his relentless pursuit to get out of range, and he's on a comfort champion. He's on a champion that has been denied from him in the past, and we'll see if he can make his way back up. Right now, Moops at level 6, has that cast available. No ultimate, he's going on Overpower.
Belly slam, he's got the barrel to roll out there as well. He's putting a lot of damage on Overpower, just really bullying him out there. Has got explosive cask available, don't forget. You can just punt him in towards the tower at any moment.
One of the best things to do for Overpower is land the belly slam, and then from the body slam, from point blank range, then put down the explosive cask, because the travel time, it's a very quick cast, and if you can catch Overpower before he goes into his Sanguine Pool or his Flash, much more damage.
Look at Impaler going towards that red invade. Jankos is there. They may well go face to face here. Instead, he's going to pass him by. He's got Xaxus up at the top there, but look at this Mima. He's just above in his golems. He's ready to join this fight if and when needed. And remember, the mid lane, Overpower was taken low. He's actually back to full health. It's going to be Jankos. They jump on. They do manage to get the stun on towards him. Mima tries to head the right direction, but it's not going to be enough. Jankos, will he stick around?
That was the exact play that helped them beat Gambit. Now Vander's in trouble.
Vander's in trouble, gets flayed in and hooked in. Mr. Rales putting the damage down. The choppers don't land. The zap just gets sidestepped. Good damage once again, and Vander falls back.
So Mixer and Mr. Rales took an opportunity to get damage on Vander, but it left Saliva untouched. He continually landed auto attacks over and over from the sides. To go back to the invade, when Impaler played Vi and Mima was on Renekton against Gambit, they kept invading the red buff. They kept invading Gambit's red, controlling the jungle. It seems to be a bit of the game plan right now. There is deep vision on Rockat's side of the jungle, so Super Hawk will be aware of the movements when they're there, and it's going to allow Moops and Mima to roam around. Impaler now going to attempt to steal Bloods, not there, just respawns, and he's got position on Salivan Vander if he goes in behind them.
I think Jankos is expecting this. He was heading towards counter, and look at this. Moops is going straight towards his own blue. He's going to take his own blue. Impaler's taken away Rockat's blue. Great start from Super Hawk Crew here.
I want to see if Impaler goes for a gank. He's got level 6, he's got the Skyfall available. If he lands on Salivan Vander's head, this could be another kill for Super Haku. It looks like he's positioning himself within range. We'll have to see if he does decide to dive. As we continue to look at Mima, he's just farming between the turrets. He's going to get caught up by Jankos, actually.
No, Jankos, they know he's there. He's just past the ward, which is why Mima just walks himself away. He's safe as houses right now. And like you mentioned, this bottom lane almost certainly will be a gank. Who's it going to be for? It's going to come out. It's going to be Sullivan. He's caught alone on the turret. Tries to use the culling, but it's countered by the minions. Quick jump on. He goes down. Super Mega Death Rocket. But that was a great turnaround there by Vander. That should not have happened, Mr. Rales.
Definitely not. Vander jumps in, lands the stun onto Mr. Rales. Mr. Rales was actually tanking up the turret the whole time. Salivan was able to juke and dance around Super Haku long enough to get a couple extra turret hits. So that allows at least one kill on the board, but the kill does go to the support. So at the end of the day, Super Haku, they get some damage on the tower. They do get themselves a kill on that jungle Pantheon. It's going to allow them to get a little bit more power and maybe get some more ganks going.
Definitely not ideal for Mr. Rales there this time around. Barrel not going to land on towards Overpower, means he can immediately walk in and try and get some poke back on towards Moops. But Moops himself, as I say, did go for that blue buffer of his own. A big fat man. Didn't actually pick it up. He went over towards it, but didn't go for it. So we'll see whether he goes for that in a second. So that's actually available right now.
Yeah, he was making sure that nobody was there to challenge. If the blue buff had been started by Rocket, he has the steal potential thanks to his barrel and his ultimate. But looking at Mima right now, He's going for some more deep wards. He's only 6 CS ahead of Xaxus rather. And we've seen no jungle pressure in this top lane. We're starting to get to the point where Xaxus' Trundle can begin to challenge. They're even on items in terms of Chain Vest armor. You see double Doran's as opposed to Doran's Shield and Doran's Blade. But once Trundle's starting at level 11, level 12, spend some of that gold, they can actually start fighting and trading with Renekton.
We'll see which way Miami goes with that build. At the moment, it looks like it will be the Sunfire Cape first. Of course, we have seen the Tiamat coming out from both the likes of Mima and Xaxus on Trundles, Renektons. So we'll see which one they favour so far. Mr. Rales has returned back to the bottom lane, continuing that farming session going. Still kept himself that 20+ CS advantage over Celeber.
It hasn't equated to any more items right now, though. And I think that Mr. Riles has backed away. They're going to kill those double golems. I want to see if they're going to defend this bottom lane before deciding to spend more money. They're probably sitting on a decent amount of gold. There you go, 1,400 for Mr. Riles to the 1,200 of Celeber. And just get themselves towards that BF sword and then start to fight. Grand Skyfall is once again available, as is the Super Mega Death Rocket for Mr. Riles. So they could try that combination. Impaler has spent all of his ganks, all of his time in this bottom lane.
Yeah, Jankos has been farming quite well as well. You can see 54 to 38 while Impaler's been looking for those ganks. We do see still with Impaler with that level advantage there because he's been getting the more important kills and now actually he's lingering around that top half of the jungle. Could go for top, could go for mid.
Yeah, it feels like Impaler's a little split on decisions. He actually pinged in the mid lane. Now he's roaming top. Once again, maybe going to the middle lane. Not 100% sure where there's a kill potential. Thanks to Overpower going a little further, they may see something on Vlad. Sanguine Pool is available, so is Flash. Overpower's in trouble.
He's going to run down here. Moops is trying to bait it in. He may well have done just that. He's going to try and Sanguine Pool. He's not going to get away. He's not even got close to the tower. Belly Sand doesn't land, though. Explosive Cast not being used. What? It does finally go down, but it was way late. And you know what? That Hemo Plague is going to have a good pop, but it's not enough.
Not enough ability power just yet. Moops had us both worried for a second.
Yeah, just
was
a little.
Was it available? Was it not available? Ends up connecting. I think with the exception of one barrel not landing there, they managed to get the kill. That was a very good recall bait. Overpower fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. He just wanted to get another transfusion, interrupt Moops, and ended up costing him his life. That's the second kill of the game, and a pretty good gank by Impaler.
And it was actually pretty obvious recall bait, honestly, when you look at it. It's like when Overpower's just shoved the whole wave in his face, and he's just like, well, I'm not going to take that wave, I'm just going to recall. It's like, maybe something is up here. But, of course, when you smell blood, which is what Vladimir did, he does try and go for it. Mr. Rales down this bottom lane. BF sword has been picked up, whereas Celeber yet to go back. Big power spike here for Mr. Rales.
Yeah, the thing about that, that mid lane play is that Overpower gave up first blood to a similar position. He was overextended, he underestimated the damage that Moops could put out, and it cost him his life. In that situation, he underestimated the lane presence of a Pantheon. I think maybe anticipating, hey, I've got the whole Grand Skyfall channel time to worry about, and Pantheon didn't need that. He just walked into the lane. So now, Impaler's 2-0-0. He's once again trying to get some vision. He stole the last blue buff, if you remember correctly, and the last red buff. Let's see if they get any more buffs this time around.
Power sidestep in the barrel, and again, Impaler heading down towards his bottom lane. Jankos is there. This could be a full 3-on-3, or will it be a 4? Because it's going to be the blue buff steal, and it's going to be Moops this time around, though. May just go for the smite here, I feel, Impaler. Yes, he does. And now Jankos, he's in all sorts of trouble. Oh, he's going to pop the Cyclone, but he don't think he realizes that Moops was there, and just gets obliterated. Now Vandercourt, Cyclone traps coming on towards him. Mr. Rales puts the damage back down on him, does get the execute. It's Moops with a second.
Rocket going in 1 point, it's not over!
Oh, Impaler takes the... Wow! I couldn't even speak. The lantern pull from Mix. Impaler jumps on him, stun locks him in there. There's nothing he could do. Mima's in trouble now. He's being chased out. Overpower coming in towards him, but look at him. He's just running them, giving a merry dance around the red buff.
That was a very, very good play from Super Hot Crew. They had the numbers advantage in the pit. Jankos engaged, completely not considering the rest of Super Hot Crew were there. He gave up the first kill in and around the pit. Then, of course, just a chain of bad events. Vander gets caught out. So this is the start. Look at the minimap. Jankos forgets, hey, where's Moops? There's no vision there for Jankos. I think he maybe misunderstood or miscalculated where Moops was going to be. He's the first to fall. That's a very good flame chompers from Mr. Riles. And this is the moment. This is an LCS big play. The Lantern into stun. Look at that. Flay, stun. Celeber can't even get an auto attack off. He just gets dropped. 3, blue, and dragon for Super Hot Crew.
The irony is Impaler had the Ignite running on him, so that shield helped stop the Ignite as well. It just did so much. Mima, well, he just saw him having a little run around that top lane. He actually went back and got himself a second Doran blade there, I believe. So my eyes don't deceive me.
So one of the things about that top lane matchup is that while all of that dragon shenanigans was going on, Mima was actually losing a trade to Xaxus. Mima was being chased through the jungle. Now, we didn't see the build-up to the fight, but Xaxus was chasing Mima down, forcing him out of his jungle. And, you know, Xaxus has now got that Sunfire Cape. He's level 11. We talked about how he can begin to challenge Mima, steal away those defensive stats, and we'll see how Xaxus deals with this Renekton, because the power imbalance is no longer there.
Well, of course, the proxy farming or farming between towers, whatever you'd like to call it, Mima has won out that lane phase, took that tower down first because all the pressure was constantly being applied. Xaxus just returning in there. One big difference, though, between these two top laners, Xaxus does have teleport, so he's going to be split pushing all day long.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the key to Rocket getting back in control. As it stands right now, Rocket are 3,000 gold down. They haven't touched a dragon. Impala's in a little, but he's in a lot of trouble.
You get caught out, Cyclone goes down, Hemoplague will follow. He's not going to get the Lantern in time. And that is a second kill for Rocket.
So Super Hot Crew's Impaler takes a page out of Rockat's book, underestimating the positioning of Rocket. He just invaded. There was no vision for him. It didn't work out at all. Now Celavar is low. He's got the double buffs next to their kill, and that's a flash flame!
The Culling was used and wasted automatically, and now they could go for a double kill it. Tibbers goes down, but I feel that the Choppers, oh, he has to flash them.
That was brilliant! Flash play from Mixer. And yesterday, Mixer and Mr. Rolls engaged at different times. Today, not the case. The moment Mixer went in, Mr. Rolls followed, and it worked out in his favor. 7 kills to 2, Super Hot Crew are in control.
Great play there in the bottom lane. Once again, Mr. Rolls and Mixer, they are a scary duo combo. Been dominating this lane, honestly. And you know, we've talked so much about Vander, some of the big plays he's been making, but Mixer really has been stepping up his game lately. And Celavar alongside him is honestly been a little bit flailing the last few weeks.
Celavar has definitely been struggling since week 4 or week 5. He's still playing the likes of Caitlyn and Lucian. Even though he's got Lucian now, it's not necessarily working out. Now, we did see Jankos moving into the mid lane, but almost on cue, Impaler was there as well. Impaler is doing a good job today reading his opponents. Let's see if they can get into CC. Even smites the big ray.
Yeah, just walks in, smites it. Mima pushing Xaxus away here, bullying them out, fighting over every little advantage in this top lane. They're having their own little game going on in this top lane, honestly. They've not been involved in any of the action that's been going on for the Super Hot Crew and Rocket.
Now, thanks to Mima actually having a Spirit Visage, he's an item up on Xaxus, so to speak. You've seen him bullying him a little bit. That Sunfire Cape damage is being reduced thanks to the Spirit Visage and the sustain from Kolomeek working in his favor. Now we do see Jankos in a little bit of trouble. He's going to get interrupted by Spirit, and the rest of Mima just coming in from behind. They want this in a turret.
Mima kind of walking in there is like, should I interrupt him? Or should I just let him go? It might be better if we let him go because we kind of want this tower.
Yeah, there's no toggle on Sunfire Cape, so it was going to interrupt. I'm afraid there was no choice in the matter. Now, Mixer has had awesome initiation so far. Let's see. Hook. It connects!
And on towards Celavar. Oh, but they blow him back away. I don't believe it. The zap had landed on him as well, so they just did the complete role reversal.
So, unfortunately for Super Hot Crew, the relentless pursuit came out, and Celavar was able to just dash, so the barrel landed behind him, knocked him to safety. Celavar gets away. That was a very, very close call. There was no flash available for Celavar, so he's going to be counting his lucky days right now. The wave is moving in, and Super Hot Crew, they haven't backed off. They still want to stick on this turret.
Don't forget that Explosive Cask has got a pretty quick reset. Cyclone potentially coming in from Jankos. He's going to catch it. He catches 3 members. Hemoplague stacks up on top of it. Jankos taken very low, and he will go down. It's Impaler that gets the kill in there. Teleport comes down. Xaxus is going to join this fight. It was 1 kill for Vander there, but a quick revenge kill. Overpower going down. A 2-for-1 for the Super Hot Crew.
2-for-1 at the end of the day, and what we actually seen was Impaler and Mima trying to jump on Jankos, keeping him from causing any more trouble. Super Hot Crew have not backed away. This tower is so close to going down. There's the Skyfall.
Now they're going to just run away from this one. Oh, Tibbers, 50 gold for Mr. Rales as well.
So another tower secured. Super Hot Crew have got 4 towers to 0. They've got the dragons. They're going to steal another blue buff. This is the 3rd blue buff in a row that we've seen stolen. I'm going to cast mine. I'm pretty confident on that one.
It's literally been the very first one. That's the only one they've had so far in this game. So far, Overpower hasn't even been close to getting.
This is incredibly interesting as well because they put a lot of emphasis on stealing that blue buff away. When you consider Overpower's Vladimir is not necessarily a blue buff champion, and yeah, okay, I guess it would help Wukong out if he stuck with it, but as it stands, Super Hot Crew have just got lane control in that area of the map. They've got vision superiority, and when Dragon respawns in 15 seconds, they should have a good item advantage to challenge for this Dragon.
It really has been an amazing turnaround for Super Hot Crew, an amazing season, in fairness. They joined the LCS 2 days before it started, of course. We were there with yourself, me and Quickshot, playing against, I'm trying to even think who it was. It was Meal Makers, of course, the other Polish powerhouse, which Rocket actually do kind of have a little bit of a rivalry to. But themselves, you know, really have turned it around. They went 1-5 in the opening 2 weeks of the LCS. 2 of those losses, of course, were to Rocket in those opening 2 weeks. But this game, you can see how much they've progressed over these last 7 weeks.
Yes, and I agree on an individual level, on a team play level, but Super Hot Crew still have one big area they need to work on. If they don't win their lane, they struggle to get back into a game. In this matchup, it's worked perfectly. Impaler's had some very good ganks in bottom, and Mr. Rolls and Mixer have just outdone them. Dragon's going to be secured. Rocket are late to this, but it looks like Xaxus wants to play. They've got to be very careful. Look at the barrel damage in Jankos. Here's the Skyfall.
Skyfall going to land. Where's it going to go? Not going to find anyone at the moment. Coming in that side is Mimer. They've caught him in a hell of a situation here. You can see Jankos just getting shredded. Impaler does go down. Xaxus doing what he can, but he's tanking out 4 members of Super Hot Crew. Explosive Cask again does not find his target. The Rocket does, but it's not enough.
Not this time round. 1-for-1 junglers traded on both sides of the map, but very importantly, Mr. Roll still has a full HP bar. Vander does have Tibbers available, unless that's just a bear that's been thrown down. At this point in time, Super Hot Crew, they jumped in on Rocket after Rocket started the fight. It didn't work in their favor, but what we did see, Xaxus survived, Overpass survived, and they got themselves a kill.
It was Tibbers, he was up. I was just off at the side though, but 4-0-2 now for Moops. When your carries start getting fed, it's a big problem for the opposition team. If the kills are spread, okay, you may be able to get away with it. But again, we're seeing Impaler doing great and Moops doing great.
The thing that Rocket need to try to do now is not give up any more towers. Because they're 7,000 gold down, we already see that in that 7k mismatch, they actually went even in the fight. They traded 1 kill for 1. Yes, they were running backwards. They also didn't have Celavar with them. Celavar wasn't with them at the time of that fight breaking out. But because of the fact that Vlad and Trundle are now scaling, Hemoplague plus Cyclone does a lot of damage. There are tools available to Rocket to close that gold gap. But they need to stop hemorrhaging gold, because that's what's going to make it even more difficult and more insurmountable.
AD carries, of course, you know, we talked about Celavar. He's still been chasing that 20 CS gap the entire game. Mr. Rallers really is doing a fantastic job of keeping just that little bit ahead of him. Vander does manage to get a ward down, which delights the crowd, despite the fact it has been a 15-kill game in 22 minutes. Tibbers goes down, Impaler's getting caught out. He's just going to turn and jump on Vander. Not a lot they can do about that one.
No, Super Hot Crew couldn't pick the fight. They didn't have Moops with him. He's their most fed carry. He wasn't in the area, and that's the same mistake Impaler made earlier. Impaler was invading blue buff, he didn't have the vision, it cost him his life. Now, he goes to clear out a ward without the full information available. There wasn't enough deep vision on Rocket's side of the jungle, and I think Super Hot Crew need to play a little bit more cautious than that. They don't want to just give up kills uncontested.
Overpower's just shown himself down the bottom now. They haven't really got Mixer with them. They're trying to put pressure. Look at this. You can see Jankos just off the side, potentially going for it. Mimer and Zaz as well, they're just going to play with one another in the top lane. They're not really part of this team game at the moment. It is Jankos that was looking to try and create something in Vander.
So at this point in time, what Super Hot Crew are trying to do is get vision control, force Rocket to maybe come to them. We've seen the same thing happening in the previous game where Alliance had more towers down than SK, but they couldn't push. They couldn't control the map because it was very, very risky to do so. Super Hot Crew are littering wards across Rocket's jungle, and they're only pushing on the side of the map where they have more vision to play with. Right now, Super Hot Crew have grouped up in the top lane. They've got all 5 members, and they should get a lot of tower damage before all 5 members of Rocket arrive.
Yeah, Overpower only just getting back here, and you can see that tower already taken down to half hit points. They may well be able to just tank this one out. Mimer's going to try and tank it, and you can see Zaz's going in. Flash Tippers on towards Moves. Moves caught out there. Does get away, though, and now you can see the box coming down. Great work from Mixer, and Hemoplague is only going to land on 2 members. This is a good disengage from Super Hot Crew, but Rock Addicts continuing to chase. Overpower maybe going too deep. The explosive cast effectively forcing them away. Death Rocket has been used by Mr. Rallis. They're going to go. Here comes the man drop. It's going to catch on towards Jankos. Jankos has to use the decoy. Vander gets caught out, but actually almost baited them in there. It is going to be one kill. Can they get a second? No. Everybody's so low on Roccat, but this could be the tower.
2-for-1 difference. If Roccat had found that fight earlier in the game, it could have gone so much better. But because they're playing from such a big goal deficit, they have to make up all that additional, itemization stats that they don't have. They managed to get a quick kill on Mixer, and Overpower was just too far forward. He doesn't have any real survivability. He's got a little bit of lifesteal. He's got that Giant's Belt, but doesn't have the likes of a Zonya's Hourglass, which would have helped him stay alive for longer. Super Hot Crew get the tower, the additional kills, and they played the retreating fight fairly well.
Yeah, and he hasn't really got a major item yet either. I mean, when you compare him to what Moops has got with that 602, Rabadon's Death Cap, the Thieves' Holy Grail, almost got that Void Staff completed. He's up against the Haunting Guys and a, I can never remember the dad.
Hextech Revolver?
Hextech Revolver, that's the one.
That's nothing.
Nothing at all.
It is chalk and cheese between these two mid laners. The amount of damage that Moops is able to put out and the fact that it's AoE damage, those barrels melted Roccat as they grouped up. And that's something that, we haven't necessarily touched on too much. Vlad is a fairly short-range caster. He's trying to secure his first blue buff of the game. Can Moops steal it? No. Smite it away, actually. So Jankos is the one that grabs it.
So he still didn't get it.
But this is something that, we haven't necessarily touched on too much. Trundle, Wukong, and Vlad, even Annie as well, really want to get close to you. Really want to get in range. Their spellcast range for Vlad and Annie is fairly short. Because Moops is playing Gragas, who can disperse them all very quickly, and because his barrels hit so hard, it's going to hit multiple members of Roccat. They need to get much more magic resist if they want to deal with those sustained 5v5 fights.
Yeah, Overpower just losing a third of his health from one barrel there of Moops. So again, they have pinged this bottom tower, and Roccat are not there, frankly. There is only Zazas close by. Now we're starting to see Celever coming across. They're going to have a minion wave here before the whole Roccat team can react.
And very wisely for Super Hot Crew, Dragon's going to respawn in 10 seconds. So Super Hot Crew can challenge for the tower, maybe force a fight. If they win a team fight, they can roll back and get a safe Dragon. There's very little risk for them in this play. They've got vision of the blue buff area. They just moved in to try and challenge, and I think it's just very smart play. League of Legends by the numbers. They're going for every single inner turret. This is the last remaining inner turret. They're finally on it. Let's see how Roccat deal with it. They're not engaging yet. That's a great barrel.
That's the explosive casket's going to force many of them low. And look at Overpower. His hit points are too low. They're backing away. That's another turret. Super Hot Crew.
This is something that Copenhagen Wolves did. When Kautard was playing Gragas, he would use his explosive cast for burst damage and to get the opposing team off the tower. And Moops landed it perfectly. Kicked away multiple members of Roccat. Too much damage has been taken for them to engage. So the tower secured uncontested with minimal cost. Dragon secured as well. And that's going to give them the third of the game and an 11,000 gold lead.
They are in dominant form right now, the Super Hot Crew over Roccat here. Like you say, that 11,000 gold lead really is transitioning across the whole team. Giant gold advantages for everyone involved here. You can see, 3,000 gold for almost every single lane at the moment. Big advantage. Super Hot Crew are looking good. 6-0, and Roccat, they've got to start getting themselves just one turret, let alone many.
Roccat need a lot more than just one turret, I'm afraid. The thing that 3,000 gold boost that each member of Super Hot Crew has means that when Impaler gets caught out and gives up those kills, it's much less damaging because their opponents need about 10 of those each. Like 3,000 gold on each of the members to make up that additional item. You got a Blade of the Rune King Sunfire Cape versus Warden's Mail, Giant's Belt, Sunfire Cape, Spirit Visage. Even the junglers, Impaler's got, Locker of the Iron Star, got a Giant's Belt, Brutalizer, Void Staff being completed for Moops, Lost Whisper, as well as the Static Shiv. That's a full Static Shiv item ahead. Celever's just picked up the Phage. I mean, there's such a big difference between these teams, and Super Hot Crew have got a nice safety buffer with them.
And of course, those 3 pink wards all being carried by the Super Hot Crew only spells one thing. They want to take Baron. They're going to clear it out. I think they've just put the one in the pit. They're going to put one just behind the red buff. We'll see where the final one ends up, because they are taking control of the jungle. They're taking all the outer turrets. It's kind of the obvious objective right now.
Now, one of the things that's so great for Super Hot Crew, because of the burst damage that Moops can put out, if Super Hot Crew force a fight on their terms, if they start it, Zazas needs to channel his teleport, meaning Moops is going to have those couple of seconds to deal the damage. Moops is playing zone. He's sitting in the jungle while the rest of Super Hot Crew tank the Baron up and start it. Rocket need to catch somebody off guard. They've got a tower, but I think this Baron's going to go completely uncontested.
Yeah, that's Tower Baron going down. Now they're going to finally make the move. Vander comes in, but he's caught with the explosive cask. It's too late. The hook on Jankos straight away. Has to use the Cyclone to get away. The barrel rolls in there. They're going to lock him up. The belly slam finishes the deal.
So great. Mix a flash to put the box down in the slow. Now Overpower's in trouble.
Overpower going to get caught. Oh, has to flash away from that zap. That would have been the death of him almost certainly. Rockat's continuing to push the bottom lane though. Zaza's taking himself an inner turret. He's taking out the outer turret. He's going to keep going for that inhibitor. Super Hot Crew have to react here.
Yeah, Zazas is making the best of a bad situation. He knows that he can't really add a whole lot to the team fight, so he's trying to get as much map presence as possible. The inhibitor's going down.
But the problem is, if he stays down there, Super Hot Crew can push for the win here. They're just going to keep on driving through. There's only 3 members of Roccat here, and of course, without that jungler, without that Cyclone, they can go for it. They're going to back off. This is a mistake. They should keep going. They're going to lose that inhibitor turret.
They are going to lose the inhibitor turret, but there's not enough to work with on the side of Super Hot Crew. Jankos had just respawned. The death timers were not particularly high. Now Zazas is on the inhibitor. If Rocket can interrupt members of Super Hot Crew from getting to them, well, he's going to back away and I think play that a little bit safely. I don't think Super Hot Crew could have finished if they had played the Nexus game. If they said, we're on the turrets, I think that Zazas would have got the inhibitor and Super Hot Crew would have got maybe 1 turret at best before being forced backwards.
So as it stands, great counter by Roccat, despite the fact they lost out and really didn't get involved in that Baron. They tried to get close, but it was already picked off before they even got there within the reach. They have managed to take themselves 3 of those turrets all along the bottom lane, and more importantly, that inhibitor turret, which gives Roccat an opening maybe to sneak into next time for Zazas.
It's going to be so difficult for Roccat to pull this one back. With super minions pouring on the middle lane, with the fact that Super Hot Crew are going to be happy to play the siege game, Roccat have got no wave clear. I mean, Roccat have got auto attacks from Lucian. That is it. Wukong melee, Trundle melee, and he needs to get in close range. So if Super Hot Crew can force Roccat to defend under a tower, Gragas is going to make their life a living hell because it's going to be so difficult to get those minions away. And I think Super Hot Crew should probably group up and stop pushing down one of those lanes. They've got a very strong advantage while Baron's on.
We'll see what they do. At the moment, they are shoving all 3 of the lanes. That's what they want to go for. And you know, it's interesting because Roccat, one of those teams, actually we've been seeing the 1-3-1 split so often from, and yet actually when you think back to it, probably the last 2 weeks we haven't seen it. Sure as hell, they're losing them games.
Yeah, and part of the reason for that is they're not doing well in their laning phase. In order to get to a 1-3-1, you need to be even be able to challenge your opponents. Be similar items, similar levels, similar control. And when you've fallen behind early on, you can't afford to because you're just going to die. You're going to get caught down and run because your opponents have better items. Now we do see Super Hot Crew sieging up, using the Zap for poke, using Gragas for poke as well. Mima also pushing down the mid lane. I think, look at that, half of the inhibitor turret has already lost HP because Mr. Rolls is just melting it. That is so much damage.
Now catching on towards him. Oh, it's a good flash. Timbers. Is it enough though? Because they'd only go on Moops and Mima. Mima's tanking all of the damage right now. The explosive gas. Wow, it just obliterates Roccat. The Hemoblade's going to go down, but is it enough? Zazas gets away with a sliver of health. Mr. Rales trying to look for that execute. Impaler, you go way deep on this one.
He got it.
He gets the kill, but he's tanking out 2 towers, and they're going to make him pay for it. But the rest of the Super Hot Crew, how are they going to be able to react to it? They're getting towards the inhibitor. This is dangerous play. Jankos goes in. Cyclone is not available, but he's just trying to beat them down.
So Super Hot Crew actually losing one from him, and Mima's in trouble.
Mima's caught out, takes the lantern, gets away. They could turn this one around, just waiting on the cooldowns of Moops. Remember that explosive cask? It's not that long a cooldown. It's continuing to back off. Jankos is going to run.
The Baron regen is working in Super Hot Crew's favor. Jankos is caught.
Belly slam on Jankos. He does get away though. Quickly uses that decoy. They stun on towards him. But look at Mima goes in. Belly slam on towards him. Another dash away. But Mr. Rales executes Salva.
Now Mr. Rales is on the Nexus turrets. He's got the minigun out, and this could be the game for Super Hot Crew.
He's going to mow down those Nexus turrets. You can see Cyclone is off cooldown any second now. Jankos tries to go, but gets flayed away by Mixer straight away, who catches on him. That's going to be the Cyclone. Is it enough? Moops is running away. Overpower's desperately chasing on towards them. The Flame Chopper's doing a great job from Mr. Rales. The Pillar of Ice does catch on towards him. Mima takes himself the sacrificial lamb. They back off, but that base is wide open.
Nexus turret down, 2 inhibitors destroyed. Super Hot Crew using the last few seconds of that Baron regen to keep Roccat down. There is no turrets left for Roccat to work with. There is no room for error. This is now up to Super Hot Crew. Back buy, and if they decide to regroup on that mid inhibitor, there's very little that ROC can do to stop them. You've got to give them props though. It was a pretty good defense. It was a decent fight, but because they're so far behind, it was always going to be against them.
Super Crew, of course, 16-9 up now, 63,000 gold to 49,000, and of course they've taken that Baron, taken away 4 dragons now. Super Crew really taking every single objective, 10 turrets to 3. Yes, 10, because that base is wide open, and I really don't know what ROC are going to be able to do to defend out this siege. You can see they're just backing off. They bought themselves a whole plethora of items, and now they're just going to farm up and push those lanes.
Warmog's completed for Mixer. He has been phenomenal this game. All of his death sentences have been very good. His flash flays, the box usage, it's always in the perfect moments. I don't feel like Mixer is wasting any of his abilities this game, and the rest of the team, they're just closing it out. They're doing what they need to do to win the team fights, focusing down the targets, and what I think is very key is that Xaxus and Jankos have never been able to disrupt Super Hot Crew's backline together. As soon as Wukong goes in with his ultimate, he's shut down, he's zoned, he's controlled, he's locked up by the Super Hot Crew and killed.
It's pinging on towards that top lane. Someone's saying, hey, should we push it? Marvin's probably like, anyone want to push this? Like, no, we don't need to. We have a giant advantage. Let's just take this damn inhibitor down. You can see they're all pushing in towards it. Xaxus tries to go aggressive. Everyone's trying to poke off the side. Marvin's getting a lot of poke on him here.
Now that's thanks to the Leandri's Torment that's been completed by Overpower. Thanks to all the hit points that Mimer's got built up, he's been shredded by that item. Rocket need to... They need to go godlike. Xaxus has been caught. They're going in.
Oh, they're going to go on to Xaxus. I'm not too sure on that one, but they're putting a hell of a lot of damage down on him. Mr. Rales, he's going to get Jankos in there. Cyclone's running, but he's just going to get dropped down. And now they're going to go towards it. Hemoblade does his job, takes down Mixer, but a support towards a jungler. A jump from Impaler towards Sullivan. Nobody else following it up. Overpower gets a little bit too deep. He's not going to be able to get away with that pull. It flashes away. And now Roccat, well, they are in all sorts of trouble. Super Hot Crew going to push on the base.
Super Hot Crew have super minions on the Nexus. They've killed Overpower. Now Super Hot Crew are trying to get the auto attacks on the Nexus.
Barrow goes down, Impaler running interference. Mr. Rales getting on towards Vander. Xaxus doing what he can, but that Nexus is so low. And now Xaxus is going to get picked up. The Super Hot Crew take down Roccat. And well, would you believe it? Roccat tied a game because they've lost as well as Gambit. But it's the Super Hot Crew with a fantastic victory here, taking themselves revenge for those 2 losses in the early 2 weeks.
There was a ticking time bomb on the side of Roccat. They had super scaling champions, the Trundle and the Vlad, but they gave up too much too early on. And unfortunately for Roccat, Super Hot Crew, they got multiple kills on moves. Mr. Rolls and Mixer dominated that duo lane, and Impaler was there when he needed to be. In the early stages of the game, they controlled blue buff, they got a lot of dragons, and it was very good play from the Super Hot Crew.
Fantastic play, especially that bottom lane. And of course, we got to give a massive mention to Moose. They locked in Gragas as their first pick, 9-0-4. I think he's proven why it's been banned away from him so often.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, he's got to play it. That's his 9th time, his 6th win. So he's got a 66% win rate on that champion. His average KDA is 3.5, so he's blown that number out the water. How can teams not respect that? 9 out of 16 games. It has been banned recently, but leading up to it now, Moops has got his hands on it once again, and it has to be banned next week.
And do you think it's maybe a little bit of overconfidence coming out from Overpower in that mid lane? We've seen it from mid laners before, how players, they get baited into thinking, I can beat this guy with this champion. Vladimir being pulled out, really ineffective in this game.
Yeah, completely. And it's because of the scaling time that Vladimir needs. He takes too long to level up. He offered nothing in the lane. I mean, Overpower got caught overextended, gave up first blood. Then got caught overextended, underestimating the gank power of Impaler. And we see maybe one good Hemo Plague. I don't feel like that Vladimir had a positive impact. Trundle, Wukong, on the other hand, they had good moments. They were part of the reason those team fights were drawn out. But a different mid laner, maybe a Ziggs, maybe an Orianna. Orianna was banned. Maybe a Kha'Zix even. Jump onto Mr. Rolls. He's squishy. You can kill him, get a reset, get out.
Let's talk about the Pantheon once again as well, because another pick, another win. The only loss so far this week, ironically, was for Roccat, but that was countered by that Nocturne.
Yeah.
Maybe Jankos should have looked at Nocturne himself.
You know, I think it's an interesting one. The Nocturne play, Impaler actually failed with it yesterday. Yes. He did not counter Pantheon. Then we did see Amazing doing the same. In this game, I'm not even sure if it would have helped. And my thinking for this is, every time Jankos actually did try to gank with Wukong, Impaler was waiting for him. Impaler was there. He didn't really even need his Grand Skyfall because he was walking around the map. And I think in this game, Impaler read Jankos and ROC very well. Yesterday, he didn't. He didn't do a good performance. And it shows you how strong these teams can be depending on their jungler's individual performance.
Well, what a fantastic game for the Super Hot crew. Shox and Deficio are standing by with Mr. Rales to talk about that victory. Let's see what he has to tell us.
Thanks very much, D-Man. Indeed, joined by Mr. Raleigh for their victory for the Super Hot crew once again versus ROC this time. Tell me, if we talk about picks and bans, what did you want to get and what did you actually get?
Our plan was first to ban the Caitlyn out, so they have no way play in AD carry. And then we wanted to first pick Trish. But I can't remember what they banned, but I think they banned like 3 mid lane champions.
Draven, Lulu, and Orianna.
Yeah, and we felt that they want to have Gragas at second rotation, and then we wanted to first pick it instead and let them get Trish. And yeah, that's pretty much the plan.
So what about this Annie pick for Vander? Because he had the option of taking Fresh to take it away from Mixer, but he decided to go Annie. Did you surprise you guys?
It kind of surprised me a little bit because I expected them to pick Trish Lucian or Renekton Lucian and at the first 2 picks. But we knew they had been playing Annie in scrims and solo queue as well. So I kind of think they planned playing Annie even before going into the game.
So they had the Draven banned out. It must feel good for you after just a couple of performances. So you defaulted back to the Jinx. How easy was that choice to make? Were there any other AD carries that you were considering?
Well, this game there was not anything else I could pick, maybe Sivir. So I was kind of forced to play Jinx and then just play a little bit more safe because they're focusing me a lot in teamfights. So yeah.
I would actually like to know how laning with someone like Mixer is, because we saw his Fresh today, how strong it is. We saw how many hooks he landed, how he had so much control in the lane. How easy to lane with, and what do you think is his like main point as a support?
Well, Mixer is pretty much win or lose. For example, yesterday he lost the lane, and today he pretty much won the lane alone. So yeah, like, he's either win the game or lose the game.
Then tell me about the game itself. Where do you think that you really took matters into your own hands?
Well, Impaler controlled a lot and got some easy kills. And yeah, we just snowballed from there, and bot lane was ahead. Mid lane was snowballing from the first kill. So yeah.
Looking forward then, Super Week coming up. You guys got 4 matches. Everything is so close in Europe at the moment. Everyone is beating everyone. How do you see your chances actually coming out of Super Week with maybe, let's say, 3 or 4 wins?
I think we have really good chances because we're going to play teams that we are already 2-0 against. So yeah, I think we have really good chances to go at least 3-1.
As far as bottom lanes go, what is the one in Super Week that you're dreading the most going up against?
I don't know. Forgiven, probably.
And staying with the bottom lane thing, we talked with N-Rated, we asked him who was the best AD carry in Europe. He said Candy Panda. In your opinion, who is the best AD carry?
In my opinion, Forgiven is the best AD carry. He's playing really good every game. He's most likely not making any mistakes at all. So yeah, there's no one else than Forgiven.
And where are you in these rankings? Are you top 3? Do you feel like, are you lower down, or do you feel like you just behind Forgiven? Where do you see yourself?
It's hard to say. Like, I will probably just be top 8.
Top 8.
That is a nice answer for you. How is the house coming along? Do you guys have one yet?
We have a house, yeah, but we don't have PCs yet.
Oof.
So we have to travel to the studio every day, but it's better than nothing. Yeah,
at least you get to be together indeed. Well, congratulations once again. Another win for the Super Hot crew. Now we're going to send things back to D1 and Quickshot to take a look at the standings at the end of the week.
Thank you for sending it back to us, Shox. So, with week 7 and underway, 8 games behind us, here is where the teams are on the table. As we just saw, well, ROC lost out, Gambit lost out. They are both tied at 10-6. So nobody really wants to break away and win this league so far. SK Gaming, well, look at that. They certainly want to. They are now at 9-7, and they are on a tear.
Yeah, they are performing incredibly well. In 4th place, we have a 3-way tie, as the Copenhagen Wolves, Fnatic, and Super Hot crew all share 8-8 records. 7th place is Alliance at 6-10. Unfortunately for Millennium, another loss means they're in 8th place at 5-11.
Yeah, it's starting to sink without a trace. It's a bit of a problem and a bit of a worry for Millennium fans. This is, of course, where we normally look back at this week's match. Matches, and highlight the 5 OP players. But this week, well, it's an OP team with SK Gaming's entire lineup.
Yeah, and the entire team performs well all the time. I said it earlier, I'm going to say it again. This is Europe's strongest team right now.
Absolutely. So let's look at those teams. Of course, it is Freddy122 in that top lane. You can see he's just had 1 death and an average 191 CS at 20 minutes. Playing fantastic in the top.
Yeah, played both Renekton and Aatrox and doing phenomenal on both champions. I love his Aatrox pick. Next up, let's talk about Svenskeren in the jungle. 69% kill participation. He played Pantheon yesterday, destroyed with it. Played Evelyn today, and I'm super impressed to see he did as well with it.
But look at this. Jezza's 20 KDA on Nidalee in 2 games. Playing amazing.
Some might say he uses an aimbot. Next up, we have to talk about Candy Panda. He's only given up 1 death this week. He went 12-1-10. He had a great game on Vayne yesterday. Think about that first blood he managed to secure against Super Hot Crew. And today on Lucian, unkilled. Very, very good performance. Solid ADC.
And alongside him, of course, the support N-rated 24 KDA. Played as Annie, pulled out that KO support, and he said it himself. He's playing alongside the best AD carry in Europe, Candy Panda.
I really want to stress some more numbers. The SK OP team of the week. 32 kills, 5 deaths, and 74 assists in 2 games. Those are mind-boggling numbers. There have been some teams that haven't got those many stats over 3 or 4 weeks of games, and SK are doing it consistently.
Fantastic turnaround for SK Gaming, that's for sure, coming into the spring split. And for our MVP this week, we turn to another team, of course. Even amidst the OP crowd, Amazing has stood out above all others and carried the Copenhagen Wolves to a perfect week with a 4-game win streak now.
So you need to take a look at his stats. 9, 2, and 15. He has 86% kill participation. Played Nocturne perfectly yesterday, played Lee Sin again today, and completely outshone Arenea's Elise. We do have another awesome clip that I'd like to roll for you of one of those great Lee Sin kicks. So let's pull that one up and let it roll.
And then now chasing in, Youngbuck gonna go low. Now the Wolves turn around, Amazing goes in, what an amazing kick that was! Curve goes down, this could actually be the game here for the Wolves if they play their cards right.
So that is back-to-back MVPs for Amazing. For the 2nd week in a row, I've been sitting here watching one of those, I'm not even gonna call it insect kick, one of those amazing kicks. And you can't give him Lee Sin. Blind Monk is OP.
Yeah, there's a number of champions you can't give him, that's for sure. So he's playing fantastically well, really stepping up his game for SK Gaming. And of course, the LCS action will be continuing on Saturday in North America, where you can catch the first game of the day. XTG, a complete roster change for them, guys. We'll see how that one works out with Zuna back on AD carry. They're going to be facing Cloud9, though, so tough challenge in their first game with those roster changes. CLG, that's a team that's on a tear for sure. They're going to be playing Curse.
Then a team that is struggling in North America right now, Dignitas, as they take on the super hot Team Solo Mid, followed by Coast versus Evil Geniuses. We'll see how our ex-European brethren perform. Those matches will begin at 9 p.m. Central European Time. That's 12 noon Pacific.
I'll be watching, that's for sure. And of course, you won't have to wait long for the excitement to continue back here in Europe, as next week we roll into the Super Week games.
Yeah, that's right. We will be back here next Tuesday with 5 huge games. And kicking off the action will be the Copenhagen Wolves taking on Fnatic in a match I'm very excited to see.
Yeah, it all begins at a special time with an all-new LCS preview show. That's going to be at 4:30 p.m. Central European Time. It's an early one, folks, that's for sure. That will be 7:30 a.m. Pacific, so you're going to have to get up bright and early over on the West Coast there. And of course, immediately after the European LCS begins at 5 p.m., and that's 8 a.m. Pacific.
Well, now it is time for the European Challenger Series second half play-in round to resume, beginning with Gamers 2, that's Ocelot's team, versus My Insanity. Let's send it over to Kobe and Freak, who'll be calling the action. Gentlemen, take it away.